starts.
Starting.
It's starting.
Yeah, I don't
Go
think
back
so.
to YouTube.
An Old Gray
You
Summit
should
one?
see the feed come up. Perfect. Realize. So First Street doesn't have cross, or has
Okay.
crossing guards.
But it's gonna give me a sample. There it is. Okay, Ryan,
Yes, sir.
you're on.
We're good to go? All right, it is now 7 o'clock on the nose. We will call the meeting of the Park Board to order for Monday, June 6th. So we'll do a quick roll call. There's only the three of us, plus our Alderman liaison, so Callie,
Here.
Kim,
Here.
and I'm Ryan. And we have,
James Cleave.
and Mr. Roth and Mr. Myers. So we have quorum for tonight. At this moment, we have two board openings. I understand that there's going to be an appointment made tomorrow night. So if there's anyone who is looking to be a member of the Park Board, please contact Mayor Philly. All right, at this time, if everybody would please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Moving on to approval minutes of the minutes from the last meeting. Everybody should have received those by email. Any comments, questions, or concerns? Seeing none, do we have a motion to approve?
I'll motion that.
And I will second that motion.
Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of approval?
Aye.
Aye.
Minutes, or, motion passes. All right, tonight we have two speaker cards for public participation. When your name is called, if you please approach the podium, give your name and address for the record. The first one tonight we have is Christina Kumar. Is it Kumar or Kumir? Kumar, okay, thank you.
It's Christina Kummer. The address is 2235 Silver Lake Estates Drive. I'm basically here just to ask to get the pavilion rental fee waived. I work with my mother, who is in charge of the Seeds of Manna. It's a food pantry through the Lighthouse Church here in Pacific. We're trying to raise awareness that we are out there. A lot of people don't know about our food pantry. We serve families here in Pacific and the surrounding cities. And we're just going to have just a simple, like hot dogs and chips, and just take donations and kind of let people know that, hey, we're here if you need it, and here's the number and contact information. So that's all it was.
And do you have a date on that?
September 25th.
And
Oh, the 24th, sorry.
24th, okay.
September 24th.
And at what time?
Did we set a time?
Or is that I haven't looked to see if that's
It starts at 11 and just kind of depends on how people show up. Probably just for a few hours.
okay, so it's a Saturday, okay. I thought so. Okay, and which pavilion would you like?
It's the pavilion by the pool.
The large one or the gazebo are you talking about?
The large one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
And I called and she's got it on hold for us. It was just the fee.
sure.
Spoke with Mr. Myers, and he said that I could come up here since we're a non-for-profit and see
Yeah.
about getting it waived, and so that's what we're doing.
Okay. Either of you have any questions? Any questions, Mr. Alderman? No. Okay. All right, we will add you to the new business section and see what we can do.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, and also tonight we have Miss Jeannie Banderman.
Let me get my flag in one. Okay.
Jeannie Vanderman, 111 Phelan Street, Pacific. I am the president of the Citizens for Veterans. And I've been wanting to do this for a good while, and I just haven't gotten around to doing it, but Carol Johnson, when she was alderman, she borrowed some of these flags to put on around the post at Liberty Field. And so now I would like to have permission to put a flag and on each post. And I was over there the other day, and there's a little thing, like a little, that you can put the flag, you know, and then this is a solar light, and this goes down, that will go down like down by the post, and then at night it will all be lit up. And I kind of wanted to, I didn't get my act together before Memorial Day, but if you okay it, and if the aldermans okay it, I will have them up for 4th of July.
Okay,
Okay?
all right. Any questions? Is this something we would have to recommend to the board tonight, or is this something that we could be able to approve and?
I think you can do it, yes.
Okay. All right.
I would, on the maintenance side, I'd ask a couple questions, and that's just, how long will they be up? And then, what is the maintenance expectations? Are we gonna pull these up, cut the grass, have to put them back? Are they staying? That type of thing.
Okay. Okay, what now? Well, I will be, you know, I will go over there every now and then and check, and if the flag gets wilted, I'll put a new flag, or if the light, you know, something, I will be in charge of that.
Okay.
Okay.
So is the expectation, Ms. Banderman, that they would stay permanently?
Yes, I would like that. And if, I'm not saying if, I'm saying when we ever have another flood, I will go over there right away and get them myself.
And your question was about mowing.
Yeah, and so, well, that tells me what her expectations are for your motion or whatever later on.
Okay. So the big thing there would be any kind of damage that would occur from mowing around them, around those poles anyway, so.
The other issue is potential theft, who replaces them, that type of thing.
Right.
We will be in charge. I will be in charge.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay? Thank you.
All right. All right. Do we have any other speakers for tonight? All right, seeing none, move on to the next section. Under new business. So we did, as a side note, I did receive resignation from the board from Sam Dean, who was recently elected as our board vice president. Sam recently moved out of the city limits, therefore he had to resign from the park board, which is unfortunate. He was a tremendous asset to us. So more than likely at the July meeting, once we have a little larger board complement, we will re-elect the new vice president. All right, our first one is St. Bridget CYC Soccer Seasonal Rental Application. So, in the board packet that was included, if I can find it here. They did ask to use the city park inner fields. They have supplied the required application and proof of insurance. Was there any, did Mr. Roth or Mr. Myers, did you guys have either of you have any additional information on this?
Hang on just a second. We're
Sure.
dealing with a little issue. Got it. Okay, please repeat the question.
We have the seasonal park rental application information from the CYC, St. Bridget CYC Soccer for the inner fields at City Park, along with the certificate of insurance.
Yes, sir.
Was-
Two things. One is that application says, no, they do not need electric, but they do. They need just to use the concession building.
Okay.
So that would be an expectation. And then, which is minor, it's no big deal. And then the other is that we noticed on the certificate of liability that there's an expiration date that ends that coverage sooner than their season. So I've asked for them to get me the updated certificate
Okay, yeah, it looks like,
before that date.
looks like July 1st is their expiration date, and they're wanting to start August 1st, so a
Yes.
month later. Okay, so this would be, approval on this would be pending proper, updated insurance then.
Right.
Okay. And we don't have any conflicts with the fields with anybody else or PYA or anything?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay. Any questions on the application? Where was you said there was a note on here about not needing electricity. Did I miss that somewhere?
Front,
It's one of the circled ones in the front. Will you need
they circled no,
water
but
electric
Right.
connection?
they do need electric.
Oh, I got you. Okay. Just looked right over it. Okay. All right, and this would just need an approval from us, is what the city needs?
That's correct.
Correct, yes. Any seasonal rental is subject to park board approval.
Okay. All right, any discussions or questions?
I do have one comment.
Sure.
This is, of course, for the community park fields, and those soccer goals are a conflict essentially with the outfields for the ball fields. And I know that's been discussed in the past. We do not have the ball fields in playing shape this year. It's a fact. It got wet. We weren't able to get on it like we would like to. We do want to get to that at some point. So at some point, this conflict between the ball fields and the use of the inner field for soccer is just going to have to be resolved. And so whether or not you guys want to take that up tonight is kind of up to you. I don't think it's a critical issue now because I don't think that we're really going to have those fields in good playing shape really until next season. But long-term, if we get the ball fields back operational, so to speak, we can't have these goals in the outfield. It just doesn't work. So-
Absolutely. With them doing this August through November, that shouldn't be a hazard for the ball field repair work either, I'm guessing.
I don't think so. Yeah, I mean, certainly there could potentially be entities that would like to use the fields in the fall, but knowing our schedules, knowing the projects we have, I don't think that we would be really ready to have the ball fields in the playing shape that we want them to be by August.
Okay. And Mr. Roth, you said that they were looking for the snack bars at the pool, or which snack bar is over there?
It's just a little, it's the bathrooms, it's the back of the bathrooms.
Oh.
It's really just a storage shed.
I got you. That's right.
That has been used for a concession area. They bring their own stuff and
Yeah, I
there's nothing else.
completely forgot about that, so. All right. Well, does anybody have any other discussions, questions, or concerns?
So then it's safe to say that they would be good for this season, and hopefully with the different changes that'll happen on those fields, it might be something that they're gonna have to address next season.
Yes.
Safe to say?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. So, do we have a motion to accept the application pending proper insurance?
I make a motion that with the proper certificate that's updated for the insurance liability, that we go ahead and approve their rental application.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any other discussions? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Don't see any issues with this.
Thank you.
All right, next one is tree removal quotes from our first City Park. Looks like we have 3 quotes, one from Craig's Tree Service, one from Portner and Sons Tree Service, and the third one from Dynamic Tree Service.
So I have the full quote with me. There was one of them that was offering to donate something else that the others did not think of. In fairness, this is an apples to apples comparison, and that is now left out. So this is 3 very responsive companies that came within about a week of each other. And we looked at the dead tree at the entrance to City Park, and then there's one over by the swimming pool parking area and the pavilion. As soon as you pull in, you see a tree that's half alive and half dead. It is now leaning because the dead roots are giving away. It's just a matter of time before it goes. So in safety, we need to remove it too. The other thing, there's a large stump there that's by the tennis court, kind of between the tennis court and the little bridge on the south side. So grinding that out was included. However, I had them itemize these, and I'm going to talk with Robert Brueggemann. I've asked him, and he was going to go over and take a look at it to see if our equipment can just lift that stump right out and push it over and fill the hole. Because it's been there for so many years, there's probably not a lot of resistance there. So we might be able to, scratch that line, but it's included for everybody. And then removal of the mulberry, which is over at Adams Garden. There's where the fountain is. There's a large tree that comes all the way down to that rock area by the fountain, at that fountain's level, at that elevation. But we're not talking about that tree. We're talking about one behind it that's up on the bluff and very close to the edge of the bluff, to where the root system is not very well established. It's a pretty large tree, probably a 12-inch trunk, something along those lines. It will have to be scaled because you can't get a bucket in that close. And then it'll have to be taken down piece by piece, carried out to the paved area so as to not damage the landscaping or the gazebo. And then that's a very laborious process to remove that one. But if it's leaning also, and if we don't get it, we're fearful that it will fall on a neighbor's fence. So that's the 3 that really need to be processed right now.
Okay. I'm familiar with the leaner in City Park, for sure. So, yeah. Okay, any questions, comments, concerns? So the low bid in this one is for Portner and Sons Tree Service, and that's the recommended one from the email that I saw. Is that correct? Okay,
Because of it being the low bid.
yes.
I have a quick question, if I might. And if I'm ever overstepping, just yell at me, because I don't know what I'm doing as liaison, whether I should be asking questions or not. But why are they charging $2,800 for 2 trees with no? I understand the $1,450 and the mulberry being a rough one to get to and dragging it out and stuff like that. But I mean, these 2 trees in City Park, are they in danger of hitting anything when they fall or anything like that?
Well, they're just massive dead trees, and so
Okay.
limbs can come down in the winds.
All right.
So, and the
Okay.
other one is leaning towards the parking lot. It could come down on a car or pavilion.
Okay.
It's possible.
Is your
Not
question
likely.
about?
No, the question was just cost. I'm just,
These are massive.
I understand. Okay, that
Massive
answers it.
trees.
Massive trees. Okay. I
Yeah.
just couldn't figure out why $1,450 for a real hard one to get out, and then $1,400 each for ones that weren't. But
They're big.
okay.
They're a lot bigger.
All right.
Yeah, a lot more work to them anyway.
Probably twice the size, maybe more.
The one in City Park's at least twice, if probably 3 or 4 times as big. It's a pretty big one. All right, any other questions?
Just a comment, Chris Fowler was, of course, going to be here, but he had an issue come up that required his attention. Regardless, these were reviewed with Chris, correct?
Yes.
Yes. And I think he concurred with the removal. Steve handled getting the quotes, but again, the park superintendent had also obviously concurred with the fact that these trees need to come out. And then, not to interject, but the stump, obviously we need to determine whether or not we want to have that in the project as well.
Okay. Do we want to put as a separate motion on the stump then? That'd be any easier?
I think it's up to you how you want to handle it, just as long as we know whether the stump's in or out.
You could make the approval
That's what.
Pending.
determined on
Depending on
whether or
the
not
answer.
our equipment and manpower can do the job.
Yep.
But our equipment and manpower could not remove those trees safely.
Yeah. That's a specialty job, especially the one on the bluff.
Right.
So, okay. Any other questions? All right, so do we have a motion on the tree removal and stump removal?
I'll make a motion to approve the Portner and Sons to remove the dead trees, the mulberry, and then I'm not sure how to word the stump as well if our equipment can't handle that.
Yep.
Or,
You just said it.
okay, there you
That'll
go.
work.
That's my motion.
Okay, do we have a second?
I second that.
Any other discussion? My only question real quick is, I know that I'm not familiar with either one of these particular bidders. I'm assuming that insurance and bonding and all that stuff is.
Right.
Is
Typically, insurance is
proper
provided
place?
upon request or approval.
correct.
So they do have the coverage, I know that, and
Okay.
so we'll get all the documentation together.
I would have to assume so, given the fact that they're working with the city, they would have everything in place, but
Right.
just wanted to make sure, so. Okay,
Yeah, and just obviously, we must have insurance for this work. So we'll get it.
okay. All right, any other discussion?
I do, actually. When the trees are removed, will they mulch those on site, or will they?
They will mulch the limbs, and they will take the large debris, as, big chunks, over to our lagoon system, which is where we have a stockpile of debris that's growing, and then I don't know how many years it takes for that pile to get to the size to where we then rent a grinder, a tub grinder, and grind it all up into mulch that's then offered to the public.
Okay. That was kind of my thought, is just, was there anywhere in the city that might need mulching that we could utilize, whatever? That was it.
Right.
And mulching would be up to Chris and probably Mr. Brueggemann then.
Yeah, right.
Okay. All right, any other questions? All right, all those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Any against? All right, motion carries. So that can go to the Board of Aldermen tomorrow, or next week rather, for. is it
Yeah, this
tomorrow
one
or
actually,
approval?
it's below my threshold to spend, meaning so that I can do it. I did discuss it with the mayor, and I believe she is supportive, so assuming she, authorizes it, I will just simply do it. It does not need to go to the board.
Perfect. Thought so, but I want to make sure. All right, next up will be approval for waiving the pavilion rental fee for Seeds of Manna / Lighthouse Church for September 24th, excuse me, for their event to get the word out on their nonprofit. Any discussions?
I just want to remind you all, when we updated our park regs, there was a clause written into the regulations that specifically addresses this situation. You can petition for variance from the board, and the board can grant that for good cause. So you certainly have the authority to do so if you wish.
Right, and the rental fee is $40 for the day, according to the website
I think that's
anyway.
correct, yes.
So, okay. Any other questions? Okay, do we have a motion to accept their event on September 24th, 11 till, as they complete?
I would make a motion for that, yes.
Okay.
And I'll second that as long as we add for the day, so that way they don't feel limited to a few hours.
Yeah, when it's, okay. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. I guess then we need to let the front office know to approve them.
Yes, I will get with Ms. Fusner.
And I will say that Christina did message me, or did message through the Facebook page for Parks about this, and so this was something that had been discussed at one point anyway. There's some basics to it anyway. All right, next one is a allowance to put the flags and solar lights out at each post sit at Liberty Field along the Liberty Walk. For the citizens of veterans, they will take care of 100% of all maintenance and any issues that come up with them, including removal for flooding and for theft. Any questions or concerns?
I think it's a great idea.
And I'm sorry, I know Steve had asked a couple questions earlier, but I just want to get clarity as well. These flags will be placed exactly where?
You said along the posts themselves or underneath the plaques?
Well, okay, I was over there the other day, and on the post, there's a little place to put the flag, and then the light will be like under it, as close to the post as I can get them.
Okay.
Jeannie, have you done a test of where that promotes the most light onto the flag?
No, I haven't.
Might want to do that, because it sometimes, like the solar unit sits on top of that particular design, I think. So I think that the light wants to kind of mushroom down. So I'm not sure if on the ground application is going to be the right thing for that particular model. You're wanting to light the flag, right?
Well,
Or you wanting to light the whole thing?
I kind of like to have the whole thing, and mostly to light up the path.
Oh, okay.
One night, Carol Johnson and I was over there, and it was getting dark, and you couldn't hardly, when you got back over there by the river, you couldn't hardly see. We was holding on to each other because, you couldn't hardly see, So that's one thing about putting the light to kind of light the pathway.
Yeah, because these lights will not be able to light up the plaques especially, so,
It's going to take some trial and error, maybe.
yeah.
Have you acquired all of these solar units?
Yes, I've got over 40 of them at home.
Okay. You might want to give it a test to see.
Yeah, and I think placing those lights really needs to be done with, in cooperation with the park staff.
I think so too.
Yes, I mean, it's a great idea, but still, we need to make sure that it's something that we can maintain, and that it just, it's, that it works and meets everybody's expectations.
And we'll be happy to.
Yeah. Okay. All right, any other discussions or questions?
Just so I'm clear on this, the flags themselves are will be located on a post, though, not in the ground.
Yeah, it will be on the post, where the little place on the back of the post, there's a place for the flag.
Okay. Gotcha.
And,
So it will not be on the ground.
Okay.
Yeah,
It will
and-
not be, on the ground laying or anything. It will be on the back of the post.
yeah, and
Thank
flags
you.
have been placed there in the past for different things.
Okay.
So,
Yes, yes.
yeah, there's a ring on the backs, on the post itself that the flag stem just slides into,
Okay.
so. Okay. Any other questions?
And Jeannie, you're willing to financially take care of that for the,
Yeah, Yes, the Citizens for Veterans will do it.
Okay. And this is going to be in perpetuity, or 6 months, or a year? What do you want target-wise?
As long as, whenever.
Is there any issues with, any other issues that you might see with this?
Just in the mowing.
That's my big concern.
Yep. Because that's a lot, you know, if there's 40, is there 40
There's
different positions?
30 I want to say there's 36 altogether. And I've got over 40 of them lights.
They'll withstand some abuse, but not a lot. Depends on how aggressive the trimmers get.
I'll just say, I think it'd be the weed eaters that are gonna tear it up more than anything.
Okay. All right, so, again, this would be to place the flags at each stand with a light that Citizens for Veterans will maintain in perpetuity, or I guess until it's decided that they need to be removed due to condition, and that the group will work with Mr. Myers and Mr. Fowler on proper placement and arrangement at each stand. Okay? All right, any questions? Okay, and is there a motion to accept this?
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Second?
I'll second it.
All right. And all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. So if you want to have Chris or yourself, if you want to make contact and find a good time and give it a shot.
Okay, now, do I have to go to the Alderman's meeting tomorrow night and present this too?
I wouldn't think
No.
so.
No, it's within your authority, sure.
Yeah.
Do what?
You just contact me and we'll arrange it.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I don't know if you want to maybe make a note in your liaison report.
Yep.
And just
will.
give a brief synopsis of what this is going to be so that nobody's out there going, what is this?
Yep, will do.
So, because,
If I go over there and get somebody comes on, what are you doing, you know?
right, because I could also see needing to go over there in the evening to see how it looks once everything's set up, and that could potentially be after park hours at the moment, so.
Jeannie,
Okay.
will you express our thanks, though, to the Citizens for Veterans?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. What else do we have? All right. Any other new business that I don't have here? Okay. Moving on to old business. First one, a swimming pool study update.
Yeah, I can handle this. I met with Navigate probably last week and got a progress report. They're moving forward. They expect to have their deliverables final report done next month. Excuse me. Really not a whole lot more to report there. They have started with the Westport work, and then they've updated it from that point. One thing that Westport didn't have in their reports was any improvements to the Bathhouse facility. And obviously, we think that, of course, it needs to be done. And so their report, of course, will include that. As far as the actual report to the park board, I don't have the minutes in front of me and apologize. The park board meeting for July, has that been, have we set that yet? Because the 4th, I think, is a Monday.
Right.
I'm sorry. I don't have my calendar
I
in
think
front
we
of
were having to look at a different day altogether because the 4th being a Monday, or the first Monday being the 4th, and then the second Monday, I was going to be out of town, and I think somebody else said they were going to be as well. So we were looking at, I thought had discussed potentially the 6th. Let me see if I can dig back through the notes here, one second.
Yeah, I should have looked before. I don't think that we set a date.
It's not in my calendar.
Okay.
Yeah, we did not set a date. It was discussed, but we didn't set anything.
I wonder if the 18th would be a solution. It's a Monday. I'm quite confident that Navigate could hit that date, meaning they could come to the meeting, give the report first to the park board, and then, of course, from there, we go to the Board of Aldermen. I'm not so sure if we try to meet earlier in the month that they would be quite ready, and then we might have to go to the August meeting for that presentation. I do think the more time we can give the city, the Board of Aldermen, to review, the better. So I would suggest, if we can meet the 18th or that week, I think that would be potentially helpful.
Me personally, that 18th works fine.
Works fine for me.
My son has a baseball game, but I can be here.
Okay. 18th, all right with you?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, 18th seems like it should work then.
Let me do this. Let me verify.
July 18th?
Okay, let me verify from Navigate their schedule.
Okay.
And once I get that, I'll let you know, Ryan, or the full board,
Okay.
just to confirm that date. So,
As an alternate, would Wednesday the 20th?
that I'm going to be gone, unfortunately. Yes.
Is there a better date as an alternate, either the 25th or 26th is probably an Alderman's Day, isn't it?
I mean, August 1st is a Monday, I mean, that's okay.
Won't be in town.
The 25th.
The first.
Oh,
The Alderman meeting should be on the 5th and the 19th that month,
okay.
I think. Yes.
Right.
Yep. So I think if you meet after the 19th, you're not going to present to the Alderman right after that, so I don't know if you can't meet on
And
the
July-
18th, you probably.
July 6th is too early for them to have.
We did not talk dates when I was with them, I'm sorry. We could maybe try for that date.
Or just as an alternate to the 18th, if that doesn't.
I mean, I could go at them and ask them to try to be ready for the 6th. It's up to you all, really.
Aim for the 6th, and if the 6th doesn't work, we do the 18th?
Yeah.
Okay. Does that work for you?
I'll get it.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's important that the park board get a very thorough presentation, obviously. And then obviously it will go to the Board of Aldermen next and further discussion from there. So I really would, if there's some idea to go to the voters yet in November, then we really need to make a decision in the August timeframe. So that's kind of where the timing's at. So I'll go back to them and see if they can't hit presentation for July 6th.
Okay. That'll work. And then next up would be the skateboard park update.
I spoke with Evan Moss earlier today, just to see how the progress on the design is coming, and he said it's moving along very nicely. He's proud of what they've got so far, but it's not quite done. We had hoped that we could have him here this evening, but their realistic target for finishing the design is the 13th or 14th of the month. So that kind of led to the question of, all right, when would the presentation be made? And we talked about the board meeting being the next board meeting, so that would be on the, 21st, that they might possibly come here and make a personal presentation that night to the Board of Aldermen, and then the park board could be in attendance that same evening. That is possible. The other option is that they could do a live stream presentation anytime. So that's for you guys to discuss this evening, whatever you'd prefer. That's on the design portion from American Ramp Company. As far as the committee that is the wind beneath this project, those gentlemen have now raised, including the $7,500 that the city committed to the design cost. It's a total of $23,000, so they're growing. And I think the last time that I had inquired, it was $18,000, so they're doing well. With this design, when it comes, look for that to grow faster, because then people will be able to see what it is exactly they're talking about. We did a Channel 4 interview recently. One of the reporters caught wind of it and came out and interviewed Jeffrey White's parents and myself for a very tiny little segment that we got to explain the story to her, and she is swearing that she's going to do more stories to cover it as it progresses. So this is one of those projects that eventually gets legs of its own, and it just spiders out, and people just love it. So look for great things.
Okay. Exciting. Do we have a ballpark figure that we're thinking that may need to be raised?
300,000 was the initial estimate that they want to try to get to. And that could be through corporate gifts. It could be from one large contributor that just, says, here, be done with your fundraising. Let's get this thing done. They're out there. And so they're going to go after it in a lot of different avenues. Grants, I know, is one of those things. But, yeah, 300,000 is the target.
Okay. And obviously, we know that the total amount will be based on the final design of the park itself and any amenities that need to be added or modified, so.
Right, yeah. American Ramp Company has had the goal of 300,000 for the actual skateboard park and its features in mind in this design.
Okay.
I do think we need to understand what you all want as far as, do you want the presentation to be here to the park board? Are you okay with it going to the Board of Aldermen? My preference, frankly, is to the park board. It's in the parks. But
Yeah, I mean, I think we would need to see it personally, but I also know that the aldermen were probably, in order to authorize that kind of, of course, the city itself wouldn't be authorizing that kind of funds. That would be the committee that's doing this.
Right. The contract that we entered into is just a conceptual design. It will give us, again, a conceptual design, not a hard design, and a cost estimate. Really, a pretty hard cost estimate is the expectation. It includes a presentation to the city, which is obviously very important. And when we had talked about it previously, of course, Steve and I had talked about bringing it to you. Now, the way the meeting dates fell, I think by contract they're supposed to be done mid-June. I am kind of up, it doesn't make me a lot of difference, frankly. I still think it would be better to go to the park board, but, I think there may be some urgency, especially on the part of the committee. They'd like to see the presentation because it would be kind of a springboard for their fundraising. What about July 6th, if we're lucky enough to be two big presentations in one night? So be it, if that's what happens. I know you didn't discuss specific dates with them beyond the 21st. What do you guys think?
It'd be two weeks later after the 21st. Yeah, it would be a lot for one meeting, but as long as we're not also discussing budget that night, I think we should be able to squeeze that in.
My request would be that if that's how it happens, which I have no preference, if it's the 6th, let these guys go first.
Yeah.
Because they have a long drive home. to
Yeah,
Joplin.
absolutely. That could be done.
Okay.
So it would be also nice to have a crowd in attendance for it too, and that way we can fulfill the part of the public participation in that as well, or the public viewership of it. So I would assume that they'd be able to do some PowerPoint slides broadcast as
Oh, yeah.
well, so.
Yeah, and this all is predicated upon their availability too, because
Sure.
sometimes they're out of the country, literally. So
Okay.
we need to know so we can,
Yeah, I think what we'll try to do then is try to schedule them both for July 6th. And you just start with that and then kind of go from there. We'll involve Mayor Philly as necessary,
Sure.
But,
Because the Board of Aldermen meeting for July will be the 5th, you said, right? So if the 6th won't work for them to come here, I have no problem attending the July 5th meeting with the Board of Aldermen as well, and we could potentially do it then.
sure. Yeah, one of the beauties of our live streams is that they're, anyone can view them at any time. So it's not like you must be here that night to see it. But, I think whoever they present to, honestly, if they were to present to a Board of Aldermen meeting, I think the park board would be welcome to attend. And I think at least some representative, obviously probably you as president, I would absolutely want to give you some opportunity to answer any questions you may have as well. But it needs to be thoroughly vetted, and by the time once we accept that presentation, I think there's kind of an idea that the committee then has a go from the city, right? And so it's an important meeting.
Well, and for that matter, the pool meeting is also an important one, because that's kind of got a time constraint on it, because it's not only us that has to get involved in that one, but it's the Board of Aldermen in a very substantial way. So
Sure. Yes.
I don't think delaying either one of those much more than, early to mid-July at the very latest is recommended.
Yeah, let's hope we can get them both here July 6th. That would be ideal.
Okay. Yeah, if you would let us know, because we can always, we have, if we need to pull have a special meeting, it's what, a 3-day notice?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, yeah. I mean, yes.
Minimum
that'd
3
be
days.
best. Yes.
Okay. So yeah, just let us know, and then we can, if we have to make an executive decision on a separate meeting, we can do that if we need to. Okay?
And count me in on that for sure, and I'll put in my report in the Alderman meeting that it's going to happen on that date, so if they want to attend, if it's not the Alderman meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll try to get both nailed down before tomorrow night. Ideally, not sure if we can pin them both down that quickly, but we'll try.
Okay. Yeah, I usually have to watch especially the first aldermanic meeting of the month. I got to watch that one delayed anyway, so works for me. Okay. Another old business item is, last month we did discuss briefly the park board rules. Unfortunately, I have not had a chance to do anything more with them, include send them out, so I'm going to move to table that until probably until the August meeting. We've already got enough in July, so, but look for that file in your email. I'll include you on it as well, Mr. Alderman. In the past, just as a background, in the past, we did have a bylaws that we were under the impression it was official, then we found out that it were always unofficial. Not a real big deal, it just kind of lays out the duties, responsibilities of the park board itself. Obviously, there's a few things in here that do need to be addressed based on the changes that were done back in November, December of last year with the park board size, responsibilities, things like that. So we'll be looking for that, and it's, we'll look to revise these and see what we can do with them. So we'll move.
Just a very, very quick comment on that.
Yeah,
The bylaws have no force unless they are adopted by the board.
correct.
They can be done by ordinance, they can be done by something less than ordinance, but either way, they do have to ultimately go to the Board of Aldermen.
Absolutely. And the point of this would be that the park board would move to adopt these, send them to the Board of Aldermen as the park board rules, it's basically how we would govern the park board meetings and the park board itself. Not looking to make any changes to city ordinance or law based on this by any means. It just lays out who we are, what we do, and the positions we have on the board. So, pretty straightforward. Given the fact that we have, the responsibility the board has, I think it's very important to have some guidelines on who we are, what we do. So, but I'm open to discussion on it as well, and I know that Mayor Philly and I have discussed them in the past before she was elected mayor, and then she's also had discussions with the city attorney on them, so we know where we sit right now. I think it's more of a protection for us as far as, this is how we plan to run ourselves, so. Any other old business? Seeing none. Mr. Alderman, any park liaison report for us?
Nothing from the board. I do have a citizen comment, I guess, but, and it was about the dog park, which I think is been looked at to be changed or something, and honestly, I apologize for not knowing all those details, but they said they went to the dog park, and there's this great dog park rule sign that is completely whited out that you can't see.
Yes.
So just FYI. Other than that, happy to be liaison here and hope that I can help as needed.
Okay, and I have to apologize. I didn't mean to introduce you since this is your first meeting as our liaison. Our Mayor Philly has appointed Alderman Cleve, Ward 2, recently elected as the Park Board liaison for the City of Pacific. He replaces Alderman Frick, who was our previous liaison. And while we appreciate Mr. Frick's attention, we're glad to have you aboard here.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you.
So, and yes, the dog park is being looked at in many ways for repairs and upgrades and different amenities as necessary. We've got a couple of groups who've asked about doing some service projects as well, and those have been mentioned. And I don't have any feedback from those groups just yet, but I do expect that we'll start seeing some improvements there shortly.
Okay.
So, okay. Anything else?
No, that was it.
All right. Director of Community Development report.
Yes, sir. Want to let you know that the culvert project to fill that swale is underway.
Okay.
I don't know if you got to go over there and
I have not.
actually lift one of those culvert pipes, but it's next to impossible for a human by himself, which is good because I don't want them to go anywhere until they're in the ground. And that begs the problem that we faced, and we didn't know it, but they're pretty much unbendable too. These are culvert pipes that look like they're corrugated somewhat and would have some give, but they don't. And this swale has a bend. It's like a dog leg left, right? And so dog leg left. I'll just leave it at that. And so we need to get an elbow. So we're at a little bit of a stall because we had to go back to the supplier and order an elbow, which takes a couple weeks to get. So that's why it's on hold. But as soon as it's here, then we'll be underway. So any questions about the culvert at all? Okay.
No, and that additional piece of that elbow is funding or price-wise is reasonable, I'm assuming.
It's like a couple $100,
Yeah.
for the elbow, right? But we got it coming. Pool's off to a strong start. Opening Memorial Day, they had a tremendous crowd, and they have had on weekends. If you drive by there, pool's well attended. I'd say at one point I looked in and there was like probably 50 people in there. That's pretty strong for our pool. Capacity's like 100, somewhere along those lines. So we had to put out a few small fires. I won't go into, and not really literally a fire, but a problem, challenges. And we got those resolved. So I won't go into detail on that, but everything's pretty good. And I talked with our pool manager that's on site about any kind of challenges that she's had with the facilities at all, or anything regarding the operations. And she was very complimentary of both the city and the pool, or the park staff, for helping get it to where it's at. One challenge that she's had is we've got tables out there that used to have an awning over the whole thing. It was like a big tarp that provided shade.
Yeah.
And that blew apart literally in the winds. And so now we've got umbrellas in these tables as a temporary fix for some shade. But in the winds, they too blow away. So we're going to work on trying to get a better anchoring system for these umbrellas in lieu of having to get another awning, which is very expensive. I don't think with a new pool facility in the forecast that we really want to spend 10 to 20 grand on a awning that is just temporary. So we're going to try to make the best of our umbrellas. Maybe we have to replace a few umbrellas along the way. So she did turn in that the lights in the boys' and girls' bathrooms are dim, and so we're going to look on getting the wattage increase on those bulbs. Heard you loud and clear on the park board, or the dog park rules sign faded. We'll address that. I was unaware of that until right now. And I thought about trying to reach out to Purina to see if they can help us with our dog parks
That would be,
in some way. It might be something that they would be excited about participating in.
well, especially
so,
since they're getting ready to start their dog shows back up again, and we're right here.
Exactly. So we have a very long list of to-do lists that's keeping the guys busy. So if you ever want to add to them, reach out to me.
Okay. Did we get our seasonal help hired?
No, we have not.
Okay, so we're still at 2 full-time and, or Chris plus another full-time with him.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Anything else? No?
I'm right here for you if you need me.
Okay. I do know I saw several compliments and comments about the pool on Facebook the last couple of weeks. So that's been, having not seen any concerns through that, which we all know is probably the number one place where we'll get negative comments and concerns. Having not seen any yet, that's a good sign.
Right.
So that includes for the staff as well. So definitely appreciate Westport and their crews and everybody else who's been involved in this to keep things up and running properly and in good shape. So,
Awesome. Thank you.
yep, and definitely appreciate Chris and your hard work to make it all happen as well. I know Chris is out there quite a bit. So,
He is. And George.
yeah.
Just put a new coat of paint on the front of the building. Go check it out.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
No.
No? Okay. Miscellaneous items. I've got a couple things here. So the first one is I will challenge every member of the park board to go visit all our parks in the next 4 to 6 weeks and take note of anything, good, bad, or indifferent. We know Chris has got a pretty good list, but, we need to do our job as well and keep an eye on things. Do you have a comment?
Yeah, I do have one more thing.
Yeah.
And that is, there's been an additional request for lounge chairs. So last year, I don't know if you remember, we did order some lounge chairs, but there is still standing room only. So if there was some funding that we could apply to lounge chairs, that would be awesome.
Okay. And our fiscal year started this week, or are we ending our fiscal year this month?
Ends this month.
Okay. How, as far as funding goes, are we at a place where we could get additional lounge chairs for the pool?
Yes.
6, 8, 10 of them? How many?
Yeah, I mean,
I don't remember how much they were.
Last year, I think we got 6, but I don't recall the dollar amount, but I know they're not cheap.
They were a couple $100
Couple
a
$100
piece.
apiece.
yeah, my goal has been to spend as little on the pool this summer, just being blunt about it. If we have an absolute need for the chairs, then yes, we should buy them. But if we can get by without them, my recommendation would be no.
Okay. I mean, something like this would be transferable over to the new pool, obviously, especially being 1 or 2 seasons old max.
Yeah, I understand, and you know, if we need them, that's fine. I just, you know, we just need to pare down this year in anticipation for what may to come.
Yeah.
There was, feel like I remember seeing on Facebook a resident who requested straight back chairs or was asking if they could bring their own straight back chairs because they have back problems and we're hoping to.
Yeah, there was a comment that I saw back probably in, golly, April. I want to say someone was asking about bringing their own camp chair style setup, but I know in the past we have not allowed outside furniture just because we don't have any kind of control over it and things like that as far as quality, and don't need somebody sitting in a chair that then collapses and gets hurt on the pool deck.
Right, that has been the advice of our insurer as well as I believe Midwest.
Yeah.
Yes.
But as far as purchasing, if there was going to be more seating options purchased, would that be something to consider, or is it more ideal to have the lounge? I will be honest and say I've never utilized the city pool, so I'm not familiar with what the seating is like there.
I don't believe we have any straight back chairs over there right now, or a
We do.
few.
We were just talking about simple, like a
From
Like
what
a
I
bench
understand,
chair that's not one that lays back.
Yeah, a picnic chair that,
Just
for the
right.
tables
We
and stuff.
we do have some there.
okay.
As far as exact count, I don't have that at the moment. But if I was to wager a guess, I'd say 12 to 16, somewhere in there. But they go fast. So,
Yeah, I'm not too keen on allowing outside furniture to come in just because of, especially the insurance recommendation.
Yeah, and that's not, oh, I'm sorry, that's not what I was trying to suggest. I was just saying if there were going to be additional chairs purchased for the pool, would that be considered some more straight back options? Not that
Which
someone
one,
bring in
what
their
would
own
be,
chairs.
lounge chairs is the only thing that was requested.
that's what I thought.
Okay.
And if, are we talking about 4, would 4 make it through, or, I mean, I know anything more than 0 would be an improvement, but,
Entirely up to you.
right.
Put that ball right back in his corner.
Right. Anybody have any thoughts on?
Did Chris have an opinion on this, Steve?
We were all thinking 6 would make a difference.
In your judgment, are they necessary? Do we need them?
Seeing the crowds on the weekends, probably.
I know they'd be appreciated.
I'm going to speak as a mom, that if I was there with my kids or my grandkids, I'm going to sit in that lounge chair. I don't want to sit on a hot concrete on a towel or anything. If I'm watching my kids, I'm going to enjoy the sun. So honestly, I would like a lounge chair. So I could see the importance, especially of some of the women that might want to sit while they supervise or attend. And I think if you make the parents happy, sometimes they go a little bit more. So
Well,
I'm in favor.
Lori and I drove by there on the way here tonight, and there's 14 people there. No issues on chairs right now, but when it's peak season and it's hot and there's crowds, it'd be nice to have. And I like the idea that this is something that's an investment that will move to the new facility. It's not like this is this last season.
Give me 1 second. I'm going to try and see if I can find some old minutes that had that in it. No, okay, here it is. Lounge chairs at City Pool. This is from August 3rd of 2020. So obviously it's going on 2 years out of date, but the recommendation at the time was to purchase 6, and they were $125 a piece. It was suggested at the time that 12 might have been a better option, but I think at the time we were also potentially looking at being tight on budget as we were. There was, at the time, 2 had been disposed of due to damage. So honestly, if they were, so 2 years ago, they were 125, they're probably in the $150 to $175 range now today.
Good guess.
So if we did 6 of them, assuming 150, that'd be $900. So, I mean, if we have $1,000 in the budget that we could use and just buy $1,000 worth, and however far that got us, that's where we get us. Something like that work?
If it's okay with Mr. Roth.
I mean, it's in the budget, yes. You have the funds to purchase them.
Okay. Okay. Well, does anyone have a motion to make to be able to do so?
I'm going to make that motion.
Okay.
I'll second that.
And what would you like the motion to be?
And I would like the motion to be for 6 chairs.
Okay. All right, any discussion? No? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion has it, passes. So at that, I mean, if something they're around $1,000, does that need to go to the board, or is that something that we can just move
No,
forward on?
we would I ask either Chris or Steve to get a quote, and then we just go through our regular purchasing process.
Okay. That works for me.
Take care of it.
All right, appreciate it.
Thank you.
I've had questions on volunteer opportunities I know I've talked with Mr. Roth about. For those who are interested in volunteering to help at parks for various things, please contact City Hall. There's a few requirements that have to be met, just hold harmless agreements, that type of thing, that would have to be done. But anybody who wants to help out in doing a service project or sponsor a project or make donations, I'm sure that we're more than happy to accept those within reason. Obviously, there's some things donations-wise we have to be careful about, but we do have the information out there on benches and trees and all that stuff. And anything beyond that will have to come to the city, which then would come to us for approval, so. All right, any other miscellaneous items?
You forgot to say administrator.
Just one.
Okay, I'll get there.
That is, Mr. Winchester called me late last night. And, if you don't know, he's the former owner of Jensen Point and the Wintech building. But Jensen Point has been something that he has literally loved and cared for decades prior to the city taking possession of it. So he called me late last night. He said, I just want to tell you that I went up to Jensen Point again. And he said, hadn't been up there in a while, and it is absolutely beautiful. So he was thrilled at the level of maintenance and care that we've been giving it, as well as the cutting of the grass up there. CNC's been doing a fine job keeping it mowed and cared for. So just want to pass that on to you.
Okay,
Meant a lot to him.
I definitely appreciate that, and especially all he's done for the city, and I know he's an amazing fellow. So definitely appreciate his comments, and that means a lot. So, speaking of Jensen's Point, though, has there been any updates on the cameras or flagpole or lighting, things like that have been
So-
items in the past?
Yeah, the next step is for the base to go in, and that's going to fall on Chris and George
Okay,
to pour the concrete. It's a high tensile strength concrete, then it'll hold the wiring, the electric, and the security camera lighting or wiring that'll run up through that base. So they've got to form it and pour it. They just haven't had a chance to because of the attention to the swimming pool that they've been given.
sure.
So now their focus can come off that a little bit, and they'll be working on it. They're working on the ball fields to try to get them improved if it ever dries out. And then another big goal of theirs in the coming weeks is to get the sand volleyball place taken care of.
That was another one that I had too, that equipment was purchased.
We have it.
Okay, so it has been received. Okay, cool.
Spin a lot of plates.
Okay. And I had completely skipped over city administrator report.
Okay, it seems like a long time since we talked about budget, but tomorrow night there's a public hearing. The park budget, as you had recommended, went to the board. We did, actually before it even got to the board, discuss with Mayor Philly, and we did increase the ARPA request to $250,000. That was primarily a result of a meeting with Cochran, the engineer, after the last park board meeting, in which we did a very basic kind of scope of the ADA improvements as well as the road improvements. And so we increased that budget to 250, and that is what is on the board for consideration tomorrow night. I don't have a contract yet from Cochran. I expect to get that within the next week or two, and then I would want to bring that to the park board first, and then ultimately, of course, that would have to go to the Board of Aldermen. If the final budget is approved with the work in it, then once we get the engineering contract, we'll just go from there. Right now, we are anticipating the work will not get done this summer. It's going to be a early season job for next year is kind of the way we're trying to set it up. And so if ideally, frankly, we can get it under contract maybe as early as February, and some of the concrete work can get started early season. And then if we get into asphalt resurfacing, which we do, that's kind of what we anticipate, then obviously that would have to come yet in the spring. I'm going to kind of defer to the engineers' recommendation, but some of what we initially had proposed for sealing very likely is probably better actually overlaid. So there's not a huge hurry up again because there's a lot of work being done this summer, and this is not a job for this season, but we are moving forward on it. Hopefully it should be a good project. Hopefully we can stay within that budget. We'll see about that. It kind of depends on the parking lots are a little bit of a variable. If we can get away with just sealing them, that's obviously cheaper. Not so sure. Looks like some of those parking lots could use another coat of asphalt. So, any case, that ball is rolling. The other thing I want to report, I guess it was last meeting, and maybe it was a meeting before, where we talked about a formal designation of the park grounds, and we don't have that yet, but we have discussed it. We kind of understand what that would look like, and so it's just a matter of getting that together in ordinance form and moving it forward. So it is in progress. GRG is also nearing. That transaction is getting close. We got the title commitment today. City attorney's reviewing that. So I just scanned it. It didn't look like there were any issues with the title, but he'll look at it more closely. So we should take title of that property within the next, probably by the end of this month at least. And so our idea is once we actually take title of the property, then there'll be an ordinance that says these properties are under the initial, it's not control, because ultimately the board controls the properties, but purview, I'm not sure the exact technical term, but that will be established, and as you guys know, it just hasn't been done, and it needs to, so we're getting there.
Okay.
That's all I have.
All right. One other item under miscellaneous that I noticed it today, and I know there was a discussion at the last Park Board meeting, and then also it came up at the Board of Aldermen meeting, was the Hawthorne Pond situation. I don't know if either one of you have seen it in the last couple of days, but it is already extremely disgusting.
I have not seen it, no.
It is solid green, nice film. I was out of town all last week, but I came back yesterday and wow. It's not the plant growth that has been, but it's back to the algae growth on the top. So I don't know if there's anything that can be done in the meantime, but that aeration pump is definitely something that,
That's a
I
great.
know it's been discussed in the Board of Alderman meeting. I know there was discussion about removal, but then it didn't sound like it. I don't know what the late status of that was.
Right, so, to the immediate point, I'll refer that to Robert, and having said what I just said about parks, right now, I don't consider that under the purview of the parks. So I will give it to Robert and let him know and see if he has some solution. We've done work on the pond in the past to try to address those things.
Right.
As far as, gosh, I am drawing a little bit of a blank. Do you recall whether that fountain was included?
I think the Liberty Field fountain was left, but I think the Hawthorne Pond fountain was removed.
Right.
I was trying to follow that, and then, because it was discussed about being removed, and then at the end of it, it didn't sound like nothing or anything was removed from the park budget, so it was one of those that's like, I didn't know, couldn't quite tell what the status was.
I think part of the problem is that what can you do with that that's going to last?
Right. Well, especially considering the fact there's been discussions what to do with it, period.
Right, and I remember the conversation, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was kind of like, we don't want to put that money in there not knowing what we're going to do with it.
It's just like the pool right now.
Exactly. So it's not that anybody objected to putting a fountain in ultimately, but why would you do that if you're just going to drain it? Maybe draining it is the best thing to do to see what you got. That was part of the discussion. It's not something I said.
Right.
So, is that about right?
Sounds about right.
Okay. I just know that it's needing some kind of assistance right now. So, because it's days away from being a smelly mess, not just a visual mess.
It gets hot. You're right.
Yeah, I will refer that to Robert, though. I know that we've done some treatments in the past. I'll just have him take a look at it and see if he has an idea for what we could do in the near term.
Okay. And I still have neighbors who claim up and down that there was a aeration pond in that thing at one point. And I think you and I have discussed that, an aeration pond or aeration pump or fountain or something, aeration system of some sort in Hawthorne Pond, and I know you and I have discussed it in years past, and no one could ever find a record of it, but neighbors still swear up and down there was something there.
Not to my recollection at all.
So. Okay. Anybody have anything else? No? Good. All right. Well, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I will motion to adjourn.
I second that.
All right. We are adjourned to 8:17.